How big is the Tiger Woods story factor over there in Paris?
It's huge. I mean, you should the crowds just to follow him on the practice round. It's he probably gets 60-70% of the fans around his group, and then the rest kind of disperse around the other groups. It's amazing. I mean, the resurgence of Tiger Woods and him winning again after such a battle off the course, injuries, comeback, the whole thing. It's just kind of injected golf with this huge boost of energy, and you can feel it over here. And he's energized his team, and he's kind of bringing that sort of Tiger factor, Tiger intimidation back to the golf course.
You've known him a long time. You were college teammates, and we had Nick Faldo on recently, and he said that Tiger told him at the Masters, that the Champions Dinner a couple of years ago, that he could barely sit down, that he was done. Like this transformation, I don't know if it's the greatest sports comeback in history, but it's certainly on the short list there. How do you explain how this happened and how everybody fell back in love with Tiger Woods?
Well, I mean, I was there. I mean, he had 4 surgeries to sort of deal with this whole back issue, and then I was there after the first surgery, and I went to visit him at his house just to sort of give him some support and encourage him to sort of hang in there emotionally. And he couldn't sit up. Like, he couldn't sit up in a chair. He had to always sort of be at an angle because his back really at that point couldn't sustain any type of pressure. And he asked me to drive him to run some errands, and we went to pick the kids up at school. And it was to be honest, Dan, it was a hard thing for me to see. I mean, I've known this guy since he was 9 years old. We've been best of friends for 30 years, and to see that he was in that condition, and to know that this could quite possibly be the end of one of the greatest athletes in history of sports was a sad thing for me, and it was tough for me to even process, much less him. And then come full circle, and a few more surgeries and a fusion, and then him having to rebuild his entire game around what his physical limitations would allow him to do. I'd put it up there as one of the greatest comebacks in the history of our sport, just because there were so many obstacles to deal with, and he did it. He didn't have any teammates or anything kind of pulling the weight for him. I mean, in golf, you have to go out there and you have to do it, and you have to earn it on your own.
We're talking to Notah Begay, part of the Golf Channel and NBC Sports coverage of the Ryder Cup. Tiger was asked about his Mount Rushmore of golf. He had this to say, and then I'll get your reaction, Notah.
My all-time Mount Rushmore of golf. Okay, well, probably Snead, Jones, Nicklaus, me.
What did you make of his answer there?
Well, it tells me that he has a tremendous amount of respect for history in Bobby Jones, and that he acknowledges Sam Snead's all-time PGA Tour win record at 82, which he's may or may not break over the next couple of years. So, that he really feels good about himself.
Does he think he's better than Jack Nicklaus?
Yes, I believe he does. I do too. I mean, a lot of people say it's not fair to compare, but I don't know how there could be a person that at his high point was the best at everything. Jack was never the best at everything. He was really, really good at, let's call it 6 out of the 7 disciplines.
What's the music going on in the background, Notah?
That's kind of the music coming from the opening ceremony that they're having on the grounds here. That's our compound is pretty close to that, so you're kind of getting the spillover of sound from that. I'm actually standing up, saluting the flag.
Of course you
as
are.
I'm talking to you, Dan.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. No sitting, no kneeling there, Notah.
You got it. But yeah, I just, we'll never see it. We'll never know. I do think Jack's win, Masters in 86, was one of the greatest feats in sports. But I do think overall that if they were to go head-to-head, and I don't think I've ever said this on air, but if they were to, but I thought about it since I've gotten into television and media and whatnot. I think Tiger would beat him, 7 out of 10 times.
Really? Because Jack's not going to be intimidated. That's part of, Tiger's legacy is, he would stare down everybody and they all melted. The guys who stood up to him were the guys who didn't have any reputation, but the guys who were supposed to stand up to him, that's what I think, the mind game between Jack and Tiger, if they did pair off against each other, because you couldn't intimidate Jack, and Jack's not intimidating Tiger.
Right. So, that would sort of those would things would cross each other out. But so much depends. It's different than, a game of basketball where the dimensions of the court are the same, or baseball. Golf, it would depend on the venue. Where would they play? What would be the setup? What would be the green speeds? What would be the width of the fairways? How deep would the rough be? Like, those would all factor in, but regardless of where they went or how they set it up, I do think Tiger Woods is, slightly superior golfer.